With me now is Vinu Varghese, a former assistant district attorney in New York, Glenn Kirschner, former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst, and A.B. Stoddard, Real Clear Politics associate editor and columnist. Glenn, let me start with you. What would happen if those who received the congressional letters actually failed to provide the documents to the committee?
Well, I think they're going to have to take that one step at a time, and it won't surprise me, Kendis, if this now comes a game of delay and seeing how long the administration can try to run out the clock. But it really does seem like the House lost a full 2 years of oversight because when the House was in Republican control, they seemed to be determined to give the president and the administration top cover rather than actually performing actual oversight. So I think now it's going to be a game of the House trying to get the documents it needs to actually dig in to what's been going on inside this administration, and the administration pushing back by delaying as long as it can.
And Vinu, let's talk about the congressional action right now, because if Congress finds evidence that the president actually obstructed justice, corrupted and abused his power, what legal implications could he face?
Well, of course, there's the power of impeachment, but the more important question is, why is Congress doing this now? You have the Mueller investigation going on. Allow the Mueller investigation to proceed and move forward and complete itself, because you're, in essence, by doing this, by requesting these documents, you are actually stepping on the toe of prosecutors who are looking at this. And one of the interesting things that Congress put forth in its letter and its request is saying it doesn't recognize privileges, such as attorney-client privilege and common law privilege. That's disturbing. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this stuff. Well, I'm looking at this and I'm going, why would they write that? Yeah. And if I'm the attorney for the people that your reporter said are not going to comply, I'm going to say, hey, there are privileges, and I'm not sure what right you have to trump the power of these privileges, such as attorney-client privilege and common law privilege.
So when they sent out those document requests 2 weeks ago, you knew as an attorney that it's going to be locked in the courts for a while.
Yeah, I mean, look, and
they probably won't get them.
Ultimately, when you look at what they're doing here, this Jeremy Nadler, who's incidentally my congressman, is basically doing what he criticized 2 years ago. In essence, allow the Mueller investigation to proceed, to complete. Okay. Don't get in the way of this stuff, and let's see what happens.
Okay, AB, let's talk about the congressional probes a little bit more, because it is raising the possibility of impeachment. Actually, you wrote in a recent piece. You write, it's wise for Speaker Pelosi to stand down on impeachment talks for now, but what would it actually take for Republicans to get on board with removing President Trump from office, or do you think they will even get to near that point?
Well, obviously, Kendis, it would depend on what was found, right? What was either turned over in the congressional investigations, the oversight probes, in the special counsel's final report, or the investigations that are underway at the Southern District of New York. So there are many different places where revelations could materialize. But if the revelations involve crimes and the president is under real legal exposure, and combine that with what he might do in response to a Mueller report, or anything revealed in testimony from, let's say, Alan Weisselberg, his former, his Trump Organization chief financial officer. Let's say that that his reaction, his responses to these revelations are also another thing that Republicans have to respond to. That's going to be the entire picture, right? It's not just what is found, but it's the way that the president responds. And what we learn through those two things, what we find out happened in the past, and then how he handles it, is going to put pressure on Republicans, depending on what is found. If he is not under criminal exposure, and his family isn't, they're going to say this was a witch hunt, a waste of taxpayer dollars, and on
they're
and
already
on.
saying that. Yeah.
But we're waiting to see. I think the Speaker is very, very smart to insist that impeachment be bipartisan and that Republicans come along. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it.
And you tee me up right there, because I think Glenn disagrees with you a little bit, at least based on the tweet I saw you sent out this morning, Glenn, where you're mocking Speaker Pelosi for saying Trump is just not worth impeaching. You think Congress should start the impeachment process before the final Mueller report is even completed?
You know, first of all, Kendis, I was not mocking Speaker Pelosi. In fact, I said I have a healthy dose of respect for the sentiment expressed by Speaker Pelosi. But here's the thing. I understand the urge to say to the House of Representatives, hey, just stand down and let Mueller do his thing. But you know what? Mueller doesn't have oversight responsibility. Congress does, and they need to exercise it, particularly because there was no legitimate oversight for 2 years. So I think Representative Nadler and others are doing what they should be doing, and they really shouldn't take a back seat to Mueller. I also think when it comes to how impeachment ought to be viewed, you know, I got in fights with judges sometimes when I was a prosecutor because I thought a judge was overstepping his or her bounds and sort of bleeding into the executive function of the prosecution's office. And it was our job to push back when that happened. We couldn't just say, well, you know, we'll probably lose the battle with the judge because the judge has the ultimate say over the positions we're taking. It's more important to fight these battles than to win these battles. So I think, you know, these impeachment investigations should move forward. Mueller's investigation should move forward. There will be some overlap at the end of the day, but they are different responsibilities.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Our thanks to all of you. I don't think Jerry Nadler is listening to you, even though you're a constituent. He's going to continue on. All right, thank you all. AB's going to